Good morning, Tone Town.
I
Pretty
love
good.
it. Live production meeting.
Yeah. I think that'll be our theme song. Welcome everyone to joining. We're doing Good Morning Tone Town. This is a weekly roundup of guitar musings, guitar impressions, and depressions. I am your co-host Alex, and along with me as always.
I've always been here, Tom Butwin. Hello. I love it. It's like
Now,
the morning radio shows that switch over and they just start and pretend like they've been there for 30 years, but it's their first day.
yeah, right. You just gotta. And so, if you're playing along, this is what I think we can do too to start it off. Every Tone Town, we'll all play an A chord together. So you guys listening at home, we'll do it too. I don't know if Tom and I will be able to sync it up. We're gonna play an A in 3, 2, 1.
You literally froze at the moment we hit the A chord. And now you're all choppy. Can YouTube not handle such smoking guitar playing this early in the morning? Is that what it is?
There we go. We'll see. So some things I'm about, some things you want to talk about. Let's talk about your things first.
Okay. So we're going to talk. I mean, the week in gear, I guess, and to some extent. And I'm sure anybody watching this saw all the teases from Fender about what was going to come out on October 15th, and they released a few things. But I was slightly disappointed. There was a lot of buildup,
Really,
and it was I don't want to say just an update to the American Ultra series, which is cool, but they really built it up as innovation, which I think it is. But I don't know that the marketing campaign warranted was warranted for the small. I don't. That's not a Fender hate day. I love Fender, and I actually love the American Ultra I. I played the Strat and the Tele, and they're both awesome takes on those guitars. But I don't know what I was expecting, but I was expecting something more like groundbreaking. But I'm still curious. I'm still, but then again, like what could it have been?
they still have to make a Strat and a Tele,
Right. And so with that out of the way, I will say, I wanted to ask you, what are your thoughts on noiseless pickups in guitars like Strats and Teles?
I think they're. I mean, if you're playing live, like I think it's really good. I mean, the noiseless pickups when we were growing up weren't far enough in technology yet. And when Leo Fender went to G&L and made those Z pickups, like those were a great way to do it. But aesthetically, a lot of people like hated that look, and they wanted it to say Fender on the headstock, even though the same guy made it. But so I like that they keep advancing. It's funny too, and I feel I'm sympathetic to any of these legacy companies because the the rules for them are so strict that you really again like I talked about this in the video before. Guitarists like want something new. We want something new, and they make something new. They're like, this is too new. It's like they can't catch a break, and manufacturing is really, really, really hard to do. And when you're manufacturing anything, so I'm sympathetic. But I agree with you. That build up, I was like, whoa, what's coming? Are they gonna put? They have a new pickup, like for these guitars.
Right.
Not, I mean, they kind of. I'm interested to hear what that new humbucker sounds like in the HSS Strat.
But I think you're right though. I mean, they have to work within the confines of what their legacy is because of exactly what you just said. Is that while I'm sitting here being disappointed they didn't do anything new enough, if they had gone super left field, everyone would be like, "Whoa, where's my update to the Ultra II or Ultra Tele? Like, what about that? Like, they can't win. I think to some extent, you're right. I like the noiseless. I mean, because what is the argument like? Oh, the hum is part of the tone. It's like, yeah, I mean, in some cases, sure, like, but not always. Most like a lot of times,
Right, and like think about the demographic breakdown, right? So like for people who want a custom shop Strat for people who want a Stratocaster, like an honest Stratocaster. They have a lot of options there. But the person who wants the Ultra is not the guy who's obsessed with like period accurate kind of stuff. So he can get he doesn't mind not having that top end because like that's he could get a Strat for that. And then the contoured heel, all those things that are built towards a very specific player, a player that wants like Strat light. Really, how I would see it is like if I was Fender, I'm like, don't go to Yamaha, don't go to Schecter, come back to us. We have a modern version of the thing that you like. Like you don't want someone to come and take your market share away from you. And I think
Yeah.
uh, I guess I just wish there was a little more innovation. I mean, I think the biggest problem, I think the biggest problem with Ultra is that the colors aren't very good. I really don't like the colors. I'm like, this
There's only
they
the two, like on the tel. I'm looking at the telly right now. The burst is cool, and the Texas T like black is cool. But yeah, I mean that's my thing too. Is but there you go. It's like okay, so you look at the solar flare green, and they're trying to do something new and different and cool. But then we don't like it. So we'll just give me that two tone sunburst that has been working for 70 years. Like why not that? It's
but,
uh
like but there's so many other options other than, like, it reminds me in the '90s when everything was fluorescent. Remember that? It
yeah.
was just like, and now it's in hot yellow, electric blue. I mean, that was I loved it, right? Right,
Everything
yeah, and
everything is this. Yeah.
I don't. But
Yeah.
it's, like, there's other colors other than, like, bright green. And, like, PRS too. I'm like, "This Ariza green." I'm like, I've never seen anyone play that live. Maybe they do.
Yep.
I think there's people in, like, internationally, maybe that's more popular color internationally than America.
Maybe.
But, like, I am again, I think Ultra, I think, okay, so there's no rules now on what you can do on this Strat and this Tele. Make it really interesting, like, make not striped, but, like, there's so many get someone who has, like, a background in interior design or color theory, industrial design to come and create a cool, interesting color. Like, if you look at iconic guitars, or LSL, not LSL, Iconic, I think, is a great example out of LA. They have these great modern looking strats. Or another great example. Look at what they're doing with their color fades. Look at what they're doing with stripes. I mean, they could have put like a maple top on a Strat, and it would have been cool for Fender to make it really a modern guitar. I don't get why they're. I feel like they're just only going halfway.
Yeah, they missed on the colors for sure. It's fine. Like I felt like it was a maybe a miss for me when I did the video, but I did a video, and the premise of the video was the PRS Silver Sky is more of a Strat than the American Ultra One at the time is a
Right.
Strat. And I'm like, and I think
Yeah.
it basically was trying to say what you said in a sentence. I spent 6 minutes in a video doing it, which probably was arguably unnecessary. But I think the sentiment was there where it's like you said, you're not buying an Ultra One or Two because you want what is typically a Strat. You want like the next level. Also, ironically, which is what sort of the Silver Sky was supposed to be, but it's so vintage inspired in so many ways that I feel like it does a certain Strat thing better than the Ultra One or Two does. I don't know, but whatever.
And
I'm
so
holding an
and what's
acoustic
funny
guitar. It doesn't matter.
what's funny too is that I think the Jack White collection got people thinking like, wow, like Fender's really pushing the boundaries on like what they're willing to make.
Yes,
Because
they should have flipped it. They should have flip flopped it.
right, they
They
should have
should have released.
Ultra
Well,
and then
I
the
mean,
Jack White.
yeah, they should have. The October 15th should have been the Jack White stuff, and then this should have been just like kind of the softball release they did with the Jack White thing. Like they should have used the build up for the Jack White thing because I agree. That's some pretty like new forward thinking stuff
Right.
as
And
opposed to a minor update to an existing line.
which brings me to the other line, the thing that I'm actually excited about. I can't believe I'm saying this. The Tonemaster Bassman.
Yeah,
It's like
blasphemy. It's blasphemy.
I know. Throw me in the gulag. Tone gulag. That'll be
That's the
our
new.
our prison tone gulag. So I'll be working in the work camps in the tone gulag.
Absolutely. Right
I'll be
there.
so I there's a guy who works for Fender, who works on the Tone Master series, and he has a YouTube channel. I'll put it down below. I couldn't find it. I gotta go into my history. and he plays a video of all these things that are like not released yet. It's so weird. I'm like, wait a second, like he's like giving like inside looks to this gear, and the
Wow.
Bassman sounds really good, man. Um, and so here's my issue with I get why people don't like the Tone Masters. Um, but if you did it A B and you can't hear it back to back, now it becomes down to like, are you being what matters to you? And if someone wants to play a solid state amp, that's fine. And if no one knew, also fine. And if he says, and if he never says that and lets everyone assume that, it's also fine. It's like it's not like musical fraud in my mind.
Right.
As long as it sounds good, it's playing good. But the thing is, like, all these clips I've been hearing of, like, this sounds awesome. Because when I heard the Tonemaster Deluxe and I heard the Tonemaster Princeton, the Twin, I'm like, especially the Super. I felt like the Super. I'm like, that doesn't sound like a Super, but this sounds like a Bassman. At least in these videos. Now, here's the other thing. Like, if I had a Bassman, I still couldn't play it. No venue in the world would let me play it at the volume we're supposed to play it.
Sure.
So now I gotta have an attenuator in there, and then everyone's gonna say, "Well, that's sucking the tone." I'm like, "Okay, so when do I get to play my amp?" All these guys have all these rules. Every time I say like, "Oh, this is what I did to make it sound good," and they're like, "Yeah, but you didn't hit point A, B, and C, therefore tone gulag." Like it's I feel like the tone master should be it should open a lot of new eyes. I'll put the link that when this stream's done, I'll put the link below because I was shocked at how good it sounded.
Yeah, and I think uh, that it's funny because like I there was I wasn't a huge fan of the Tone Master Deluxe either. Although I've seen it used in some pretty like legit pro situations where I'm like, you could have whatever you want, and you chose that. That's interesting. Who am I to argue? As I sit in my studio at home, but and you're on stage in front of 10,000 people. Yeah, I mean, like, so what? I guess. I mean, that's how it goes with all this, though. It's like I'm more concerned with and more interested in like what someone's doing with it than I am like that's a that's a that's not a real basement. That's not it's not it's a it's like, who cares? Like, what are you doing
Course
with
of course it's not a real basement, like,
right? Like so okay, like great. Like this is not the most expensive acoustic guitar in the world, but if I could play it, in a way that would impress people, no one would care. Like so it's like,
right,
it's what are you doing with it is what I'm more concerned with it with, and like I haven't heard the Bassman yet, but I mean, if it's that convincing and it's got that much versatility to be able to actually use it and enjoy it, like I mean,
right.
why wouldn't you? What's wrong?
So here's the only thing I get. It's, it's 1,400 or $1,500, like, I think it's like 14.99. I'm like, "Okay,
Yeah,
so I can find a used one for 14.99 too." Um, so I get that, and that comes down to, like, where are you playing? If you're the guy who wants the basement tone, the basement look, and and then you don't mind that and you have 1,400 to burn, like, I think it's gonna be really interesting. I think people are gonna be flipping out about it though. I think there's gonna be a huge fight online, just like when the Silver Sky. I think it's at that level of controversy.
yeah.
I can feel it.
And here we are at the forefront of it. But
I'm getting ahead of that news cycle.
that's right, baby. That's what we do here on Good Morning.
Good morning, Tone
Good Morning
Town.
Tone Town. I almost forgot the name of our own show, which I was integral in naming. Uh,
And thanks to
yeah.
everyone for coming, stopping in. I see there's
Oh yeah.
36 of you. Thanks so
Amazing.
much, guys. If you
Well,
have any questions for us, because we have like all these answers in the chat,
that's
we're gonna play some guitar lessons here too in a second here, but
we have all of the answers if you're wondering. So just ask anything. We already have the answer. But yeah, I think it's just all gear just depends on who you are and what you want to do with it. And I don't think there's a wrong answer to that. Like, for me, I think sometimes I'm too practical to have fun. Like I'm like, well, what am I going to do with that? I don't need that. Like, where am I going to use it in making videos? Where am I going to use it in playing gigs? If I can't answer that question, lately I've just been like, nah, I don't need it.
all right.
Which kind of loses some of the. I mean, because like yes, and there's gear acquisition syndrome that we all talk about, but there is some fun to like learning about gear and like seeing what's new and there that is fun. But ultimately, I mean, you can look at it through like, well, what are you going to do with it? And again, I don't think there's really a wrong answer to that. If you just want the Bassman Tonemaster because it looks cool,
Yeah.
who might argue?
And this
Do it.
gets to I'm gonna do another video about this next week. The all rig, no gig. Now, I don't know who invented it, but I saw that Walrus Audio, they made the shirt. I'm not sure if they coined that term. And initially when I saw that shirt, I thought, oh, that's funny. Because I thought it was meant to be a joke inward. Like I'm making fun of myself. Like I'm buying gear and it's like, yeah, I don't have a gig right now. Or maybe the gear doesn't line up to like the level of gigs that I want to be at. Right. Um, but lately I've been seeing it used as a cudgel to gatekeep, to which I take umbrage.
Mm.
So like the way to be like, you don't need that gear because you're not playing this. I'm like, if someone wants to buy something for any reason, like, why do I honestly don't. I might be one of the only guitarists that like, I don't care what other people play. Like, I only care about my gear. Like, I don't care about
Right.
other people's gear. If they
Yeah.
sound good, I'd like to know. But I also know that the reason they sound good is because they're a great guitarist.
Yeah.
It's like everyone needs to know that. Like, and so I'm gonna um all rig, no gig, no problem. That's gonna be my shirt. Okay.
Well, because that's the reality of this, though. Like that's as I sit here and make videos for my channel, doing this, doing I mean, doing stuff for Premier Guitar. It's like the majority of us, myself included, I've played a lot of gigs, but it's like ultimately like I'm not playing Madison Square Garden. I'm not a touring musician, so it's like that's most of us. Whether you're a collector, a beginner, intermediate, you don't play gigs, you used to play gigs, you want to play, like, who cares? Like, and I agree. Like, if you're gonna say all rig no gig in such a exclusionary way, it's like, so what? Like, what are you trying to accomplish by saying that? Like, I can't buy the Tonemaster Bassman because I just think it's cool, or I can't have Strymon Iridium. Like, why do you need a Strymon Iridium if you're never going to play on a silent stage and go direct with in your monitor? What do you need that for? It's like, I don't know. Maybe you want to experiment with IRs, and or, I don't know. That's okay. Like, it's like, do you have to be
Right.
making an album to record something? No,
Right.
you can record it for yourself. In fact, you should be recording it for yourself. So I look forward to your video about this.
Right.
And I
I
agree.
I don't
No
I
problem.
don't need your permission, Jack.
Jack.
Like, I mean, a lot of guys. I mean, well, let's move. I could go on another rant, but where are we at? We're at 18 minutes, so like that's enough
And
ranting.
another thing. No, yeah.
Okay, I am gonna say it. When I posted that thing about rhythm guitar, I had no idea that was gonna be controversial when I said every guitarist is a rhythm guitarist because the songs are made of verses and choruses. Songs are not made of solos. And people chiming in, "What about Metallica?" I'm like, "They have verses and solos." Like, have you listened to a Metallica song? And then someone says, "Jazz." I'm like, "Verses and solos, guy. Like, have you been in a jazz band?" And then I realized the reason that they're commenting, that these people aren't musicians. I'm like, "Oh, got it. These are just people who listen to music."
Yeah,
And,
and
like,
I
in
think
their mind, they
yeah,
think complicated song where there's no rhythm. But so like maybe they can't hear the rhythm. And then I realized I'm not controversial. I'm like talking about this and they're talking about the classic internet. I'm saying
yeah,
A and they're thinking B.
yeah,
And that's fine.
yeah.
I'm
And it's
fine with that.
yeah, and I think I mean like it's not when you said that when you posted that video, it's like it's one of those things that's like obvious and you know it, but then when you hear somebody say it, like yeah, absolutely, like you and you got to dig into the rhythm stuff because 99% of the time that's what you're doing. But I think sometimes because we live in like the 9 second, 10 second, like somebody just ripping a solo on the internet, it's like they're not. I'm not a big sports guy, but the first thing I thought of was like you have like a kicker on a football team. All they do is come in and kick. That's it.
Yeah,
You don't have that with it. You don't have the guitar player just like walks out on stage, plays the solo, and then leaves. Like at least I've never seen that. Maybe
right.
I should. I'll get better and I'll be that guy. I'll be the special teams guitar player who comes in just plays the solo. We have a
Well,
comment from David.
special teams guitar player. That's another great. We got to
Good.
write these down. So we
Write
got
it down.
Tone Gulag, special teams guitar player.
That's right.
Oh. Man, like every week we're gonna have another great term for another great T-shirt.
I look forward to it.
Hold on, David. What'd you say here? I answer questions like that with so and exactly. Like,
Perfect.
what are you, my dad? Like, come on. You don't because like my dad's like, you don't need that. Like that's a classic dad position to
Totally.
take. You don't
Yeah.
need that.
Yeah. And that's the dad voices coming in when I'm like, ah, you don't need that. What are you gonna
You
do with it? Ask me,
right.
I'm like, what are you gonna do with that? And I'm like saying that to myself. I'm like, well, I don't know. I thought it was cool. Like, what do you mean?
Because
Like, I
it's
guess I won't
cool.
get it. You know, I don't even
I
need
mean,
the
that's the other thing that I think people forget about. Like guitars are cool, and it's okay that they can just be cool. Like
and
if
fun.
I walk into someone's house and they have a 59 burst on the wall, cool.
Yeah.
Like that's not lame. That's like I think that's very cool. Like they're
Yeah.
beautiful things. Like they look great. They can be works of art. And they can
Right.
be appreciated for their aesthetic value.
Yeah.
Again, so all these guys are saying that doesn't look cool. Like I'd be like, I'd love to see what your living room looks like. That's all. If you're gonna tell me what looks cool and what doesn't look cool, show me what you got. What's your studio look like? What's your living room look like?
Right.
Because if you deign to impose like your aesthetic vision on others, like people you've never met, I'm like, okay, show me what you got then.
Yeah. Right. Right.
No,
Because if you're gonna throw the first spear, then you got to be prepared
yeah, let's
to
see
be.
how good
Yeah.
your aesthetic taste is because
Yeah.
it's anyway. Okay, so let's move on to lessons. We don't want this to just be an all take. We want to give, guys. So we what we're gonna go over is just a couple things that we've been working on this week. What I've been working on is playing. My pick angle has been wrong up until so I've been playing guitar what 25 no 28 years maybe long time to not be. I should be better. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How many
Alex,
presidents?
I would stop you right there. You were too humble with your
But I
guitar.
should be better. Like almost
I,
30 years. Like, wow, someone's doing something 30 years. You should be like a master, right? I took 10 years off in the middle. So I'll give myself that. There was like 10
good.
years where did not pick up a guitar. But my pick angle. So when I used to play, we'll do it. This is a good visual. I was going like this and I was moving from my elbow. And so I was very sloppy. I would miss notes all the time. And I saw some YouTube short come up and it was talking about pick angle. I think it was the art of shredding. I think that channel, and they have these GoPros attached to the headstock, and it just zooms in on their hand. And now I'm playing like when I'm playing quicker lines, like I'm like angling it. Uh, I'll do it this way, maybe this way. I'm going like up and down like that now. Whereas before I was going like this, like I'm painting the fence, Mr. Miyagi, right? Not this. I'm going da, 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 and I'm trying to stay loose on my wrist, but just have like micro movements. Because I was watching all these other pro guys, and they were like just so relaxed. And I was like, what am I doing wrong? And my hand was getting in the way because I was switching from like rhythm to lead quickly, right? Way too quickly. Like, and I would try to play a lead as I'm coming out of that riff, right? And I ended up like getting really tense and like playing so many strings and it's sloppy. But now and it's like I didn't realize it's two different things. Like rhythm playing and then tight playing. Like no one told me. Like when I was
Right.
missing solos all the time, I was on stage,
Right.
I bombed that solo. No one said, "Hey, your pick, the way you're holding your pick and your hand placement is wrong."
Yeah.
I'm like, "What?" Now I knew, and so I had that embarrassing moment alone at home, which is where it's supposed to be. It's not supposed.
I had a similar. I'm still working on it. I'm still working on it. I had a similar. I see our question here too. We'll get to that in just a second. But I had a similar epiphany where it's like I realized I am, and maybe it's just like from what I listened to growing up or what I was playing growing up, you know. But I had so much movement like this, where I'm like, and I'm like, I can't play any faster. And then I started, like you said, I started watching these guys, like some flat pickers. So I don't aspire to be like a true flat picker, but you see them, and it's like it's all it's very like
right? It's like this. It's not
it's such
even
a
this. It's like
you
it's like
see some guys who it's more from the elbow, but then like Trey Hensley, like all these guys, like there's a thing, and it's like I don't do that. Like I have a million other problems as to why I'm not
right,
as
and you're
good as
looking
that.
down, looking at
I'm
the
like,
video, looking at your
yeah,
arm.
I'm like, wait, I don't do that. Like, so good point. So we got a question. Comfy charms, we'll say. Could you give a tip to shift chords super quick? The thing is, I can shift the open chords quickly enough, but the chords like G7, C major in the A position, those are super hard. Would love if you answer, and also how to increase speed while playing. Well, I think before we do the chord thing, I mean, increasing speed, it's not the only thing, but the way you hold a pick, for me at least, was a big deal. I stopped holding it more like this, and I was making more of a fist. So then I had to change the angle, and it's I'm exaggerating right now, but literally just sitting here and practicing that alternate picking with your right hand, just up, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's what I've been doing, and my speed has increased like 4%, which is better than going the other way. But Alex? What do you think about the chords?
The chords. Well, I'm gonna one quick thing on that too on speed. Set a metronome or play along to a song and just play the root note. So if the song is an A, just find that A and find out how wide you need to go, and then see if you can do it with almost doing no movement, right? And sometimes when you're playing really fast, you got to rest your palm above the bridge, or sometimes I see people use their fingers here as a way to make sure that they're not moving too much. Because a lot of time, the faster you go, it's like getting the squealies on the bike, right? You don't
Yeah,
want to lose it, and so you want to just and you want to see just how far you want economy of movement, the
that's it.
least amount of pick travel that can produce the easiest results. Because there's also you don't want to burn out your wrist, you want to burn out your thumb, and don't do it for more than 30 minutes a day. You will get tendonitis, guaranteed. So just
Yeah,
10 minutes every morning. Really, 10 minutes would be a lot, to
it
be
would be
honest. Just be
10
worried about
solid minutes.
tendonitis. People don't talk about tendonitis in guitar community enough. Like you can overdo it, which is why finger picking is such a great way to relieve it.
True.
Get dexterity. No, so the chords thing. So when you say A position, are you saying A like from the A string, or are you saying A position, um, like open A, or are
Oh,
you
so
saying like fifth fret?
they're saying they can shift the open chords, which I'm assuming is talking like this,
Right.
you know, um, but in the A position. So maybe are we talking bar chords?
Maybe
Like,
bar chords. So I'll show you the quick way to do bar chords. The biggest problem that I had, and I think most beginner guitarists have, or intermediate even, is you're playing too many strings. To spell a chord, you only need 3 notes, sometimes only two. So I'm just doing the A there, the E there. It's the 1, the 5, and the 3, right? And then if you want to go to the C, or if you want to go to the 4 chord, right? So it's D. You only need 3. You don't need to play every because the conception I had in my head is like if that's what's in the tab, that means every note has to be played. Rarely, especially not live with other people, because there's other people playing notes. So
yeah,
to spell a chord, with bar chords, I can shift bar chords super quick, but as I go through with the rhythm, hand starts to cramp up. Got it. Yeah. So, and I would find different ways to play the chord. So, like a lot of time with bar chord, you can do this, but a lot of times all you need is that, or sometimes just 2 notes, an A and an E, and now that's technically D, right? So you just or play less. Like the less notes you
Yeah,
have, the quicker you can move. And then, so I did a lesson, what was it, 2 weeks ago about using a looper pedal. Go to that and watch it and build your own loops that you can play over. Or if that's, I also have backing tracks that are free too, if you want to download them and just practice along to those. Some of them are just drums. So just practice along playing to rhythm. Um, and just pick two chords to go back and forth and minimal notes and it'll really helpful. So it's
that's
for you.
that's that's huge, man. The playing, just to wrap that one up, is any way that you can be held accountable rhythmically will help you change those chords faster. So if you're just sitting here and doing that, that's fine. You know, you can get the mechanics down, but when the rubber really meets the road is when you have something that is just bar line, bar line, bar line, and and that's going to force you to do it. And you don't have to do it super fast. Do it slow, because sometimes slow is actually difficult as well. But that's how you'll start to increase your speed, or just, I wouldn't even say speed, just being more comfortable and having better stamina. I mean, part of it is just with the bar chords and the cramping thing is just. I mean, if I play a 5 minute song, literally, I'm playing and singing a 5 minute song, and it's all bar chords. Like by the end of it, I mean, it's not the most comfortable thing in the world. Just kind of the nature of the beast. Let's see, Joey, you got a question? Likely a question mostly for Tom. I don't know about that. Alex is an
This
authority on the Silver Sky as well.
not the USA one. That's
Oh,
all
okay.
you.
Well, and there is a difference between in what Joey's asking about, which is the neck finish. I understand it's gloss, but I've heard it's a very smooth gloss, so not too sticky. Thoughts on that? Yeah, I think you're right on, actually. So I have a 2021 or 20. You would think I would know that. Um, Rosewood fretboard, core Silver Sky, and I have a made in Japan Strat that has a gloss finish on the neck too, and the Strat is much stickier than the Silver Sky. I played the Silver Sky outside in the summer humidity and heat also, and I didn't find it to be prohibitively. Certainly, that's not the reason why I am not playing like John Mayer. It's not the neck finish. It's so it doesn't bother me, but like Alex said, the Silver Sky SE has that unfinished satin sanded feel to it, and which is totally different. And I actually like that. I do like that about there. There it is, the famed Silver Sky SE from the video that some of you may have seen Alex and I together in.
Yeah.
I love it though. I mean, like when I first played a Silver Sky when it first came out in a store, I drove to the store uh, on my lunch break at my day job to check it out, and I was very underwhelmed. And that was 2017, and I just took a chance on the one I have used, and I love it now. So I don't know, but the neck finish is cool. I dig it. Um, So let's see. Been playing for 20 years and just started. This is Krista. Hi, Krista. Been playing for 20 years and just started relearning scales to solo. What are the best scales for rock/metal?
So rock and metal, depending on the song, um, obviously the just a minor scale and then like a harmonic minor are great for creating tension. Because like the thing I love about, I mean, obviously speed on metal is really important, um, but creating this tension between. So the cool thing about metal, I don't have a metal tone on, but this is it's
Neither, neither do I, with my Martin over here.
there. There we go. So for metal, um, so a lot of time for metal is having that the major seven, right? So harmonic minor, I think, like very Yngwie Malmsteen, very like classic 80s, like Scorpions use that a lot too, like just great. That's great. And then just really having, I think the most important thing in metal is the timing, honestly, because metal creates tension through just having these like great, like almost mechanical 16th notes, and then obviously working on sweeps. So it's not really working on a scale, but it's working on a sweeping motion, right? Like, what would I? How am I going to embarrass myself?
Yeah, yeah. There you go.
I haven't practiced that in a while, obviously, but that's something I want you want to do as well. And then also having your single note blasts really good, like, and then having your palm muting. Actually, the biggest thing, the biggest problem I see when people are in hard rock or metal bands is they're not palm muting the right way. A lot of times they'll palm mute and they'll be too high up or they'll be too far off, and you gotta have a great palm mute. And you gotta, it's like you're releasing just as the pick is coming down and then you're muting it instantly. So like those, that to me is like just as important as learning like a harmonic minor scale, like all the way up, all the way down. Obviously diminished scale as well, but in order of importance, minor scale, harmonic minor, palm muting, then sweeps and diminished sweeps. So you don't have to do the whole diminished, but like something like that, like you just work on three note sweeps, right? I mean, obviously, I'm not doing it right, but if you do that right, it'll sound good. So there we go. I think those are a lot of good questions.
They are. They are.
And I honestly, like, thanks so much for stopping by, guys. This is our first show, weekly show. It's called Good Morning Tone Town. We're gonna be every Friday at 10 a.m. Central, 11 a.m. Eastern. And if there anything else that we need to say,
Do we have anything we want to plug for ourselves coming up?
oh yeah, yeah, you go first. You plug.
Oh wow, we got more questions coming in. Hello, China Alex.
Hey, Steve. What's up,
Hi,
man?
Steve. I don't know you, Steve. Thomas, underwhelmed using the Aviator Cub USA Live, the one I reviewed. Borrowed one for a gig. Perfect size, etc. But the tone was not what I expected. What am I using live? So I've only, full disclosure, I've only used the Aviator Cub USA Live once, and it was the wrong amp for that gig. And the reason why I say that is it was outdoor. It was fairly rudimentary PA. Like the only thing mic'd in the PA was vocals. So I was relying on like the bass player, the other two guitar players that were there. It was all, just going to be your amp. And I brought the Aviator, and it wasn't loud enough. It sounded good. It sounded good. I had a tube screamer and the Aviator and my Silver Sky, and that was it. And it sounded
That's
really good,
crazy
but
because they're so loud.
they
They're
they are, but it wasn't in the
yeah.
situation it was the wrong amp. I should have brought my deluxe reverb and just
Oh, lost Tom. I'm sure he was going to say he should have brought his deluxe reverb and cranked it. He'll come back on in a second. Um, the but I actually am reviewing the Cub UK. Oh, there you are. You're back.
am I back?
You're
I got a
back.
I got a phone call. I, I'm
Oh,
not I'm not moving. I'm frozen. I can see myself frozen there, but I heard the whole
um,
thing. Yeah.
that's our
Am I
that'll be our screenshot from the call.
am I still stuck that way?
You are.
Oh, come on. I was doing so well. Maybe I'll jump out and try to come back. Hold on.
Okay. Okay, he's gonna come back. Um, Steve, you're in China? All right. Um, but I'm actually gonna be reviewing. Here we go. The UK Cub and the Super Block. That's in the next video that actually Tom is in. that we shot this summer, and that'll come out in a month.
I'm back. Can you see me?
Back,
I'm
baby.
back, baby. Uh, you nailed basically what I was going to say, which was I should have just brought my deluxe reverb reissue to that gig. Um, but I dig that. I really like that Aviator Cub. I played a gig where last December, and it was kind of the first time I heard about Quilter. The guitar player in the gig had the Quilter Aviator Cub, and I wasn't playing guitar. I was just singing on the gig, and I was like, "What is that?" And he used the line out. It was a big stage, like a 2,000 seat kind of like concert hall type thing. And he used the line out on it, and it sounded great. Like it really did. He's a killer guitar player, which helped. He was a very good guitar player. But it worked really well in that scenario to where it was the wrong, like I said, wrong gig, wrong amp, or the wrong amp for the right gig, or the wrong gig with the right amp, depending on
It's another one. The right gig with the wrong amp.
that's it.
Or the
Yeah.
See, like we have so many T-shirts coming, guys. Like it's gonna be
All
you guys are gonna be clothed. Trust me.
so we were gonna plug something and then leave. I think is that what it was.
Yeah, what are you gonna plug?
What am I gonna plug? I've got a Brian May video coming out on my channel. I think tomorrow. And then I've got a whole bunch of stuff coming up on PremierGuitar.com. Some cool things, which I don't think any of them are secretive. So I guess I could have come prepared to tell you about them, but just go to Premier Guitar and you can see me do the stuff there. So that's it. You know,
That's
if you
great.
don't, it's great. It's perfect. What are you
Yeah.
going to plug? What do we got coming up on Super Danger Studios next week?
Next week, I got my big MXR video coming out. It's a big cinematic. It's another cinematic video. I haven't done one of those in a while, and it's incredibly over the top. But I reviewed the Ducatone, the Timmy, and Goldie's not too happy about that, and so there's a conflict. And but this past week I did a video about IRs, and everyone always asks me about IRs, how to use IRs, da, 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 and Origin Effects came out with free IRs, like these insanely good IRs. So if you're IR curious, just go and download them, and you can like mess around with some insanely good sounding IRs.
Another
Uh,
T-shirt. IR Cure.
IR curious. That's
Just
another
saying.
T-shirt.
Just
Like
saying.
they keep coming. Um, and that's it for now. To plug. There's so many things coming. I mean, the one I got with Tom coming up next month is gonna be it's absolutely insane. And then I have one more where I have a whole bunch of guests. It's gonna be the season finale. That's gonna be in like December or January.
Amazing.
Neil, how do you guys practice in time while reading a music sheet? I can't read music, so that helps. So I used to be able to sight read, but I don't you typically sight read, you know, like piano staff, actually, but sometimes I'll read tabs, but usually it's notes. And all the pro guys that I know, they use their own notes. So they'll like if we're at a session, like you write out the chords and then you write out how you would want to play it, like how you would remember it. So and then you just make notes on your parts if the artist or the producer says like, hey, like change it that way. Now if you're just practicing, I think it's good to practice something that you don't have to look at because you want to use your ears, not your eyes. So if you don't know the chords yet, you gotta like just pick 2 chords to practice or 4 chords to practice and going between those 4 chords in any different way that you would want. Because when you start to think about when you start relying on this for what's happening here, your eye will trick you a lot, and you don't want to be stuck there. And the thing is, once this starts coming naturally, you won't have to worry about thinking because you'll be able to hear what the chords should be. You'll know the song. The song will be memorized, and that's something that you can develop over time. But here's how you can do it: take your music sheet, take one line, whatever that line is, whether it's a verse or a chorus or whatever. Just practice that line. Practice one time looking, and then practice one time looking away. Oh, I got 5 minutes left on my thing here. All right.
We
Well,
have a we have a limit.
I got a hard stop on my phone apparently.
Wow. Is that
Okay.
who's imposing this hard stop? Is it YouTube?
No, an app timer that I have. I don't
Oh,
I
I
yeah,
have those too.
yeah.
Because I have those too.
too much time on YouTube. Well, this
One,
is perfect. It's 45 minutes. I think it's a great time to round it out.
Thomas, thank you. Appreciate the kind words.
Yeah, that's
Thomas
right.
Moore, love both our channels.
Wh
Yeah,
which one do you love more?
I can answer that. I can answer that. I love Alex's more.
No, stop.
I
We're
do. I'm
all
a huge. I'm honored to get to work with you, so I get to see a lot of the back channel stuff. But just from a YouTube consumer perspective, I've told you this. I'd be watching even if you hated me, I'd be watching your channel.
I hate you. Don't watch my stuff. How dare you?
So, oh yeah, hey, we'll talk. We can talk acoustic tone another episode, Thomas. I do love the Matrix pickup and the aura that I play with this guitar. So we could talk about those options at some point on Good Morning Tone Town.
Good morning, Tone Town. Thanks so much for stopping by, guys. We know you have a lot of choices when it comes to guitar news and guitar opinions, so we appreciate you choosing us. So long. I'm Alex.
I'm Tom.
See you next week.